Democratic fundraising numbers are in. Who's got the biggest war chest? And prediction time. Who might we see drop out of the presidential race in the weeks to come?
Team Rising is here to break it down. Don Calloway, Democratic strategist and the CEO of Pine Strategies. Holly Turner is the Republican strategist. She previously worked for the Trump White House as an assistant administrator for the Small Business Administration. Thank you to you both.
Okay, great, guys.
We've got some big fundraising numbers out. It's all finally out there in the open. Pete Buttigieg topping out at $24.9 million. Beto O'Rourke bringing in the bottom of the, I guess, top tier, second tier candidates.
He didn't even make it on the top list here, guys.
Didn't even make it onto the top 6 there, and got less money in the second quarter than he did in his first day of announcing the campaign. Don, are we ever going to see this guy on a ballot?
Probably not. I mean, to me, Buttigieg has incredible numbers. Elizabeth Warren, incredible numbers. But I'm looking to see, can they expand upon that? And I don't know. So as you see the lower tier folks drop out, I don't know that they then become Buttigieg or Warren donors, right? The second thing that's fascinating to me is that when I consider political fundraising, I always thought as I ran campaigns, I don't need the most money. I just need enough money. So while the lower tier, the Cory Booker's numbers are not eye-popping, it's still $4.5 million. And to me, that says, what does his strategy look like, particularly in the early states, and such that he can use $4.5 million? Is that enough for him to execute his plan? I don't need Warren numbers. I just need enough to execute my plan.
Well, one problem with Booker is he spent more than he brought in.
Burn rate means a lot.
Which does mean a lot.
Yeah, just like any American household, you got to, take in.
You got to balance the budget.
Right, you got to balance the budget. So that's a big problem.
One of the things I'm also looking at here is, Bernie Sanders has $18 million, but what his campaign, and they have an excellent point here, almost all of those, 90%, can give again. So it's not like many of the other candidates. Buttigieg, $24.9 million. A lot of that is bundled money at the max donation. So I feel like out of all of them, Bernie might have the best staying power for this type of money going forward throughout the campaign, right, Holly?
Bernie's got two things going for him. He's got a lot of cash on hand. And look, we don't need the most, but it is expensive to get on the ballot in all these states. Just the operations are very, we're not talking about advertising, we're just talking about logistics. So his cash on hand number is great for him, but those individual donors, it matters. And Republicans it's taken us a long time to kind of understand that and embrace that idea. And the president is doing that this time. They are focusing on small donors, small dollar donors this year, because they know that those who give small amounts are likely to give again, but they're also most likely to come out and vote for you and support you when it comes time.
Absolutely.
And that matters. Those bundled contributions, those aren't necessarily invested in voting for that person. Somebody else asked them to give, and they were giving for that bundle.
Exactly.
Don, that was really the Barack Obama innovation. He saw that if you got people even to give $1, then they were going to be more committed to your campaign. I think the average donation for Sanders was $18.
That's right.
2 million donations that he's brought in, so he's got a very broad base. Meanwhile, you've got a bunch of people spending more than they took in, and I think a lot of folks who are probably going to be taking a hard look at whether this is going to pan out for them.
Yeah, absolutely right. But again, these folks are not yet running a national campaign. They're running a campaign in the 5 early states here. So if I look at Cory Booker, who, clearly that's my guy, $4.5 million, is that enough for him to execute in New Hampshire, South Carolina, Iowa? I hope it is, but I just always kind of try to make the distinction in polling as well as in fundraising are where we are right now, between this big national discussion we're having and the states that really matter at this juncture.
But the thing that's interesting is that the DNC has put this set of rules in place that require them to have a national presence,
yes, you gotta hit
which
the
I think throws off the strategy a little bit for some of these candidates who really should be just focusing on those early states, but the DNC is forcing them to do.
You see the little viral internet ads and just give me $1.
Right.
But you made a great point, which I think transcends party. If somebody gives you $10, that is a show of their support. That is very likely their vote. The question is, are they in Alabama? Are they in New York? And do you last? Do you survive to get their vote? But what scares me most in this fundraising discussion, frankly, is y'all's president, $100 million. He's not playing. He's serious, and that is the scariest number out of all of this quarter.
$100 million in the Trump campaign, even more in the RNC war chest.
That's right.
And that's the same thing. It's not bundled.
Right.
A lot of the fundraising actually comes off of a lot of Democratic race. So you're right. It's heating up on both sides.
In fairness, though,
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton had plenty of money.
Oh, she did.
Wasn't
Yeah.
the issue.
She had
Whoever's
tons.
the candidate is
It's not
going to
about
have
most money.
tons of
But
money.
it came from
spend
the
it
wrong
right.
people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what you're getting at, Don, which is where does this 24.9 for Buttigieg come from? New York City and Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's not coming from Sioux City, Iowa.
Right. No.
And because of that, it's a real problem for him.
I mean, our last poll had him at
1%.
Yeah, it's national money. It's national money. And the thing that I worry about with Mayor
Yeah.
Pete, as brilliant as he is, I'm very close with some of his senior staff, is that as amazing as he is, his support is probably flat at this
Yeah.
point. I don't see his support growing, even if you look at the second choice. If you're a Bernie guy or a Bernie supporter, Mayor Pete's probably not your second choice, right? If you're a Corey or a Kamala person, Mayor Pete is probably not your second choice. So I wonder if he can expand his
Well, it's
universe.
actually interesting. Biden voters' second choice is Bernie.
Right.
Bernie voters' second choice is Biden, which, given the vast difference in there on the ideological spectrum, is maybe not what you would expect. So the lanes kind of shake out a little different than you think. But Holly, who should be looking at heading for the exits? Do you think?
Oh my gosh!
Exploring other
there's so
options.
many of them, right? And no offense to Corey, but it's just probably not going to happen for some of these guys. But Beto, just stop taking people's money. I mean, there's a point in which it's like, how can you ask people to give you money when you know this is not going anywhere? So I think
His campaign sent out an email that said, sometimes you're Hootie and sometimes you're the
You're the blow-
blowfish.
That was so bad. Yeah.
Apparently they're the blowfish.
That was so bad. Yeah.
So embarrassing.
I have nothing to say about it.
yeah, I think there are a solid dozen that should throw their support behind.
Yeah, like
another
Steve
candidate.
Bullock
Yeah,
or
there's so many. at the
Inslee.
bottom.
I mean, a lot
I do
of
want
these
Marianne
guys.
to stay in though, because
Yeah, she
that's
should
just
stay.
pure.
Agree.
Marianne,
Agree.
Yang, and Gravel need to stay until the very end.
But Yang-
Everybody else.
Gravel,
get
by
hell
the
out
way,
of
Mike
here.
Gravel
Yeah.
made the cutoff, the donation cutoff for
I
the
can't
debate.
wait
He might
to
be
see
on the
that.
debate
I
stage.
cannot wait to
I
see
give
that.
props to Mike Gravel.
Yeah.
Andrew Yang, 2.8 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that is
that's
out-
good.
yo,
And-
that's
and
fantastic.
small dollar donors
Small dollar
again
donations,
there.
but again, he's probably maxed out his capacity, right?
We'll see.
I
Yang
don't know
Gang is a
about that.
powerful force.
I wouldn't
all
say
right?
that.
Yeah, they're
They're
powerful.
continuing to grow.
You
They're
know
going to come
him.
for you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, stick with us. We've got more right after this.